The Turnpike Sports Book Report is brought to you by BorgataSports.com. Your favorite casino is now your favorite sportsbook. Available anywhere in New Jersey, BorgataSports.com. Sign up at BorgataSports.com using our promo code PIKE, that's P-I-K-E. Make your first wager of $20 or more and you'll get $100 in free bets. That's $100 in free bets when your first wager on Borgata Sports is $20 or more. Get into the action with BorgataSports.com. Must be 21 years or older and in New Jersey to place a bet. Terms and conditions apply. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
And welcome to this week's edition of the Turnpike Sports Book Report, where we're going to be crisscrossing North America to talk about the usual suspects of some state and also national sports betting reports. We've got a few deals to talk about that happened over the past week, one including an NFL team, one including Major League Baseball as an entirety. We have in the industry update segment, we have a whole bunch of North American updates to hit, in terms of sportsbook launches or announcements of launches. And at the end of the segment, or the end of the show, we are going to do our legislative roundup, where we've got some news coming out of California, Kentucky, Florida even. And if we have time, I'll throw a nugget out about Massachusetts.
Why is it always Massachusetts?
Because we're getting close
you
to
always
the end of the
have a
month.
nugget about Massachusetts.
Because we're getting close to the end of the month.
Okay.
And it's the end of the legislative session. They need to have a compromise bill done by July 31st.
Even more nothing is happening
Exactly.
in Massachusetts.
It's a big nothing.
Well, overall, the
but I shouldn't say that.
When we talk about the numbers, are we talking about they're relatively low because it's kind of a slow time in the sports betting
we can
industry.
get into it.
Okay.
And when we get to the numbers segment right after this. Well, right before we took that quick break, you mentioned how this was the slow part of the sports schedule, which translates into lower sports betting numbers.
Well, these last couple of weeks have been feeling kind of slow in the sports
Very
betting
slow.
industry, but you're starting to, we went to the
SBC Summit
last weekend, and you can kind of feel everyone getting ready and ramping up for football season, which, let's be honest, is king of the sports betting sports, if you want to crown it that.
Well, that's true, and you could actually feel the build.
Oh yeah, no, it's
everyone's there for football. That's the great customer retention tool for sports books.
And for sports radio, all the I call them DJs, all the people on the radio, all the people like behind the desks,
yes,
they're taking their vacation now because when August hits, I guess it's all NFL.
Well, everybody's
going
to be going to different training camps.
And college football, too.
So. Well, the training camps, you got to go and do reports from the camps. You got to go through the different OTAs, all that stuff that's going on with football. Football is a year-round thing, now you're going to start seeing a ramp up to a lot of NFL football more than anything.
Well, weren't we asked by one of the radio people that we work with, you guys are doing a betting segment, the pick segment this year, right?
Yes, we're going to be doing a football
We
pick
had to
segment.
assure them, yes, we are still doing our football pick segment.
But we're here in mid-July, and one of the aspects of the middle of the month has always been the American Gaming Association releases their commercial gaming revenue tracker for one of the previous months.
Yeah.
And this time they released May of 2022.
Okay.
Now we're here talking about how the sports betting industry is doing its slowdown for the slow sports calendar right now. May of 2022, which was very interesting, became the second highest grossing month ever for the U.S. commercial gaming industry. It was the highest May on record.
Yeah.
But it was the second highest grossing month
I always like how they phrase things. May 2022 was the best May ever.
Yes.
Of all times.
Well, according to the American Gaming Association,
but it was beaten out by what, March of this year.
March of this year, 2022, was not only the best March, but it was the best month overall for the entire industry in its history.
Okay.
So we're seeing some numbers grow in other areas to complement the sports betting industry in the United States. For instance, according to the American Gaming Association, if you take the iGaming and the sports betting revenues, revenue from the two industries accounted for almost 18% of the overall commercial gaming revenue in the United States
Now, when
for
we're
the month of May.
Just as a reference, when we're talking about iGaming, are we talking about online casinos and online poker all taken
All of
together?
that.
Okay.
And these are just the commercial casinos. This does not take into account the Native American,
Okay.
tribal casinos and sites. But again, the industry seems to be, it's always fun to watch May, June, July because football's over with. Baseball's starting to heat up even more so, and the NBA is winding down. If you think about it,
Sure, NHL is winding down.
Exactly,
NBA,
they're starting
baseball's
their
getting a
playoffs
full swing.
But it's nice to see some of these numbers going up, especially after the last couple of years. That we've been having.
Sure.
And it's just really great to see this. According to American Gaming Association, I'm taking this from their commercial revenue tracker. Land-based and online sports books generated $487.5 million in May revenue. That's just the commercial commercial sports betting operations. That's a 78% increase from this time last year, May of 2021. So they're way ahead of what they were doing last year. And, a lot has to do with what's going on in the country. But again, I think we're starting to see with the expansion of the online sports betting industry, and even I think a lot more casinos are opening sports books.
Yeah.
So we're seeing a lot more of that kind of expansion too. I like the fact that it's not just online expanding; it's land based, and that's going to really, really help the industry a lot. That's national. Let's go into the individual states here. We had a whole bunch of states reporting their numbers. We had Iowa, Indiana, New York, New Jersey, a few others as well, reporting June and July numbers. New York with their July numbers.
Well, not July. Oh, well, New York.
The
weekly. Okay.
So
they have to have one system here. It's getting crazy.
Well, New York does an interesting setup. They have
New York does it weekly. New Jersey does it
for the mobile
monthly.
And then what New York does,
what does Nevada do?
They do monthly. But New York does weekly, and then at the end of every month, they release a monthly.
Okay.
Which also includes retail.
Okay.
So a lot of the numbers are a little different than the monthly versus the weekly. But let's start with Iowa. Iowa reported their June numbers. Iowa became the 12th state to surpass $4 billion in handle since its launch.
Wow.
And the total mobile handle for this year alone, 2022, passed the $1 billion mark. So, Iowa is becoming a steady indicator of the sports betting industry, I think, because it's not one of the big states that reacts immediately to the different changes in the sports calendar. You're starting to see really steady numbers coming out of Iowa.
I'd be very curious to see Iowa's numbers in the fall, because when I think of Iowa, I think of college football, and I'm just very curious. I can't remember what they did last year, but I'm sure it's going to be great.
Well, some other numbers coming out of Iowa: DraftKings cleared $300 million in handle.
Okay.
PointsBet cleared $25 million in handle for 2022. Circa Sports, the first operator in Iowa to have 3 straight losing months.
Really? Wow.
Again, Circa Sports is slowly expanding.
I forgot they were in Iowa.
Nevada.
Yeah.
They've only a couple places, so they're going to get their legs under themselves.
They're in the news a lot. They have their contests starting up. Everyone is jumping in on the contests.
I'm wondering when they're going to start maybe hooking up their non-Nevada books.
I don't know.
The contest. Because I know they only do it for the Nevada book.
Just by looking at social media and listening to VSiN and things like that, that is such a huge event out there. It sounds like a fun event to go to. But the weird thing is, you need a proxy. You can
use a proxy if you're not there.
Well, I mean, you're not there. Either you go there or you use a proxy.
Well, you have to set it up first in person.
Yeah, you have to set it up first. Then the proxy will help you out.
Staying in Iowa, one last note. FanDuel, 9 straight months of at least $30 million in handle, which is really, really incredible. FanDuel is the market share leader across the country in a lot of aspects of the sports betting industry, and also it looks like the online casino industry too. They take a good chunk of the market.
Okay.
Indiana also released their numbers. In terms of their handle, this is the first time. This is their June numbers. This is the first month that they have been below $300 million in total handle. They had $256 million in total handle. Last month they had $308 million.
Mm-hmm.
So they are down about, I would say, the numbers show about maybe 14%, 15% from the previous month.
Well, look, it's a slow time,
Yes.
like we were talking, and Indiana's a great market.
Yes.
Boy, they are sneaky good. You know, when you think of top 10 sports betting markets,
They are
Indiana's always there.
They're always
So-
there. Indiana, since its launch, $8.3 billion in handle.
Mhm.
So it's a big market. New York and New Jersey both released numbers. New York for their week, the week ending July 8th. That was an interesting release that they had. It was their lowest handle since the state launched mobile sports betting.
Since January, really?
Since the first week.
Wow.
And that was a partial week. They had $190 million. in
Yeah,
handle.
well, I don't know how many times we're going to say it during this segment, but it's a very slow time during
Yes.
sports betting.
Well,
so, look,
everything you're hearing here is grain of salt.
And let me tell you something. Even when New York's numbers are bad, and they're never bad, I mean, when they're not up to expectations, they're still great.
Yes.
I mean, they're still astronomical compared to other states.
Well, here you go. And since launch, FanDuel cleared $3.5 billion in all-time handle in the state. It also paid $150 million in taxes since launch. Those two numbers are incredible. Just
Yeah.
for 6 months.
Yeah. Speaking of FanDuel, I found my 2 T-shirts I got from their opening in the Meadowlands, so I should put them. I'll wear them next time. Or
Well,
something.
FanDuel, in terms of handle, is 42% of the New York market this past week.
What, 42%.
42%.
My God.
DraftKings was a distant second with 27% of the market.
And there are now 9 operators.
Yep, Ballybet launched
To have
very
42%
recently.
when there are 9
Yes.
operators, that's just absolutely incredible.
And also, that's just handle. Revenue, too, they're around those types of numbers as well. It's just I think the gap is a little closer when it comes to handle. I mean, when it comes to revenue, because the holds are different.
Yeah.
You know? Everyone does things. I know DraftKings pushes the parlays more than FanDuel. So their hold is going to sometimes be a little higher than FanDuel.
Yes.
In New Jersey, let's finish up the number segment with our home state here. New Jersey reported a handle of $633 million. The one thing to notice about the New Jersey numbers isn't really New Jersey. That amount, that $633 million, places them number 2 so far in terms of June handles.
Okay.
New York is number 1,
Sure.
obviously.
Yeah.
It opens the door for possibly Illinois to be number 2.
Illinois is number 3, right?
Illinois hasn't reported their numbers for
Okay, but they were number 3
June. We got to
last
wait another
month.
couple of months for Illinois and
I think-
Arizona.
I think the top 4, Arizona. Yeah, we'll wait. Yeah, let me hold my breath for Arizona. But the last month, I think it was New York, New Jersey, number 3, Illinois, and
Yes.
number 4, Nevada.
But New Jersey had a really big drop in their numbers in terms of handle for June. So it does open the door to see exactly how Illinois moves in if they can.
Should we say it again, or should you just have an icon across the bottom here? It's been a very slow month for sports. That's why these numbers are a little low and a little weird.
They're skewed
Yeah,
because of
so.
the slow sports months. But that's the one thing about the New Jersey numbers, their revenue. With the June sports report, New Jersey's revenue numbers, even though everything, like I said, was low, that report, the revenue part of the report, pushed the national revenue post-PASPA past $10 billion.
Wow, that's incredible.
So $10.09, $10.08 billion in terms of all-time post-PASPA revenue for the
Okay.
country. So New Jersey contributed to another new benchmark.
Yeah. And speaking of sports betting in New Jersey, I'm finally getting a handle on that 2-tier authentication
That's still a
thing.
pain in the butt.
It
but
is. That I think I got all my sports books all covered and make sure they're all right, but I have to go through my online casinos and my online poker things because remember I set those up in 2013.
Yes.
So I have to see if it's going to the right cell phone number to get the text so I can put the code in. So I'm doing that. So
Well, that's it for the number segment this week. Let's head on over to some deals. And this week's deals, the the entire segment's going to be highlighted by what MGM Resorts did with the Major League Baseball Players Association. They announced a multi-year agreement to become an official partner of MLB Players, Inc.
Okay.
Now, MLB Players, Inc. is the licensing arm
All right.
for all the players.
Okay.
The deal gives MGM Resorts the right to use MLB Players branding and group marketing rights around the world.
Okay.
There's a whole bunch of different components to this. Partnership provides hospitality benefits to Major League Baseball players with MGM Resorts properties, serving as the host location for a variety of player events. MGM Resorts can use Major League Players Group's rights across, basically print, digital, advertisement, sweepstakes in the U.S., China, and Japan. Mm-hmm. MGM also becomes a participating partner of MLB Players' Player House hospitality space at each season's All-Star Game. So you're going to see MGM Resorts all over the place for the All-Star Game.
Yeah. You got to get those lounges in.
Yes.
It's a very important.
Or a hospitality tent, or a tent somewhere, whatever you're doing. Even a pavilion in the outfields. Some of the books have those things. MGM Resorts is going to be the official off-season destination of MLB Players, and MLB Players will also have opportunities to enter into individual deals with MGM Resorts.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah.
So it's huge for both sides. It's great for the players because the players for a while weren't able to do this.
Yeah, no, it's great.
And it's just another sign of the changing attitudes towards gambling and also sports betting in the country. So that's a huge deal for MGM, a huge deal for Major League Baseball. And now we're going to move to football.
Okay.
Now, in the legislative section, I was going to give an update on some of the Ohio licensing, but I might as well do this here because it's a combined thing.
Yeah.
The Cincinnati Bengals became the first major league sport or professional sports team in Ohio to apply for a license. They applied for an online license, a Type A.
Yeah.
And shortly after that information was released, the announcement came from both the Bengals and Betfred.
Yeah, Betfred.
That they have entered into a partnership to launch a mobile sports book together. And it's going to have also a whole bunch of not only just using the Bengals marks and, IP throughout the sports book. You're going to see fan engagement activations at the stadiums, promotions, free-to-play games, all for the people of Ohio and also specifically for Cincinnati Bengals fans.
And Ohio is set to launch sports betting, their mobile sports betting, in January 1st.
According to the law that went into effect, they can launch no later than this first group can launch no later than January 1st. That doesn't mean they're not going to have other launches.
I got to be. It looks like January 1st is the date everyone's saying in the legislatures and all the sports books, the retail and the mobile. But I'm shocked. I am shocked that they didn't really push for the entire football season.
Well, again,
do you think there's a chance that some could launch or open up before January 1st?
January 1st is a target date.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised if you see something happen closer to football season where they have an adjusted or amended schedule of launches. 2
football teams. They have the Ohio State. I mean, they got other great colleges there. I mean, I'm shocked that they're not really pushing
we'll
for
see. Like
September
I said,
1st or something.
I would not put it past the state to have an amended launch date somewhere.
So I hope so.
One other deal to hit this week, just for timing purposes, BetParks announced a partnership with a group called Epoxy.
Okay.
This is an interesting deal because I've seen people talking about this type of deal, but I've never seen anyone put this into practice yet, and I'm hoping to see this with BetParks soon. Epoxy is a startup company out of Berwyn, Pennsylvania, and they use AI and a lot of tech to personalize and streamline the betting process for individual users and customers.
Now, BetParks just started in New Jersey as well. I'd be very interested to see. I mean, you can describe it to me all you want, but I'm never going to understand it truly until I actually start working with it.
Here's the best example. Let's use us.
All right.
You're an Eagles fan.
All right.
I'm a Jets fan. And when we're sitting next to each other in the football season, we're both on Bet Parks.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to have a screen that has more Jets-related stuff.
Oh, okay.
You're going to have more Eagles-related
All right.
stuff.
I got it.
That's what Epoxy does. That's the main goal of Epoxy, create a more personalized sportsbook experience.
I can see that.
I'm using the PR language here. It's personalized, a more
personalized
sportsbook experience here. But
okay. All right. I see.
They're going to trace how you bet to find a more personalized screen or sportsbook.
You're at the supermarket and you have those cards that your supermarket cards, and you buy certain things.
Exactly.
And they kind of
keep track of
that and customize the coupons they send you.
Exactly.
Okay, I see. I got it.
It's basically a very, very intense way of customer relationship marketing.
All right, I got it.
But I just found that a very, very interesting deal that I'm looking forward to seeing exactly how that translates into increased user experience for Bet Parks. One of the other parts of the deal, there's a possibility that they're going to be using this type of technology to track your TV viewing to also further customize what you're doing on your sportsbook. So a couple interesting deals that happened there. So let's move on to some launches that have been occurring around the country for the last week here. Couple launches to talk about that have happened over the past week. We're going to start off in Arkansas. Oaklawn Racing Casino Resort announced that they're going to be launching their sports betting app by the time football season comes around.
Okay. And
when they say football season, they're talking college.
Okay.
So it's not necessarily pro football they're worried about.
All right.
It's the
So what is that, late August? Maybe the last week in August
or
something like that?
It's going to be the third mobile app in the state.
Okay. All right.
Oaklawn already has a horse racing app that people can use, but this is going to be not a shared wallet. It's going to be a separate app you have to download.
See, I'm looking for a horse racing app that's a shared wallet with one of the sports books I have.
You may see that soon because
I hope so.
That'd
be great.
Everyone developing at Caesars Racebook, and
I know FanDuel has a deal with TVG,
but they're technically two separate things. But you have Caesars Racebook, which is starting to move around the country, and also you have BetMGM's deal with Naira Bets as well. They have a horse racing app.
Good.
So those may be shared wallets. Over in Louisiana, Caesars Entertainment. Everyone knows they've been redoing Harrah's New Orleans. They're going to rebrand it, remodel it, make it Caesars New Orleans.
Okay.
They just announced that they are going to be opening a brand new World Series of Poker room. But I want to say World Series of Poker room. But World Series of Poker room. And also the new Caesars Sportsbook. And the images that they shared are just beautiful.
Oh, great.
Well,
they're putting enough money in it. It better be beautiful.
The sportsbook's going to be 5,700 square feet, 4 betting windows, 12 kiosks. Also, they're going to have a 147-foot video wall.
Great.
That's going to be huge. And also state-of-the-art sound systems. Sportsbook's going to be next to the World Series of Poker room. That's going to be 5,000 square foot, 20 poker tables. I actually thought they may have gone smaller than what they had announced, because I thought they were going to put more effort into the sports book. But Louisiana is a huge poker area.
Sure.
That makes sense. Also, the book is going to allow for 140 people to sit in there.
Wow.
That's going to be
a good size book.
It's going to be a beautiful book.
Absolutely.
I know the Caesars deal with Peyton Manning especially. He's going to have a bar in the new Caesars.
Good.
So it's going to bear watching to see how well that does. Saskatchewan Indian Gaming Authority announced plans to launch a new dedicated web gaming site for their province just in time for the Grey Cup.
Okay. Is that coming up?
That's coming up.
Okay. Didn't know that.
Well, they just started.
I know season. They're playing because I ran across the game.
They just started
Canadian
the
football
season.
game.
I don't know how many weeks the CFL season lasts. So
okay.
But they're going to be launching a new site, and it's going to be through the British Columbia Lottery, which already currently runs the Play Now platform in the province. So we're going to start seeing a lot more betting in some of the other provinces soon.
Okay.
Let's close up the show with some legislative roundups here.
All right.
going to start off with a quick update from Ohio. I just mentioned previously that the Bengals applied for a Type A online sports betting license. You also have FanDuel, you have Fanatics, and every week we're going to start seeing a lot more licenses come out. I know Canby's applied for one, or Ellis, I should say. Ellis has applied for one. Ellis is going to be interesting to watch. They have the deal with the restaurants.
Okay.
So there's going to be more Ellis gaming tech out there once this launches.
Okay.
Matter of fact, according to Ohio, the lottery is starting to release the locations that are not sports teams or casinos that have been approved to apply for betting licenses.
Okay. All right.
They've got about 50 in the Dayton area.
Wow.
These are restaurants and bars. And then another 50 in the Miami Valley area.
Wow, okay.
I think Miami Valley is where the Bengals are anyway. So
okay. I have no idea. I'm not familiar with Ohio.
I'm sort of familiar, but not much. But again, I'm probably wrong. I'm not a huge expert in geography there. So, but yeah, it's just one of those things where I'm very curious to see how many bars and restaurants get sports betting licenses. And just to clarify, just because they got on the list doesn't mean they're going to be granted the license. Sure. It just means they're in the mix.
Now, do they have to pay to get on the list?
That I don't know.
Okay.
I think, they have to file the application.
So, yeah, maybe I guess you have to pay to get on the list.
Pennsylvania, the Chickies and Pete's saga in South Philly is still not over.
Yeah.
They have been trying to get a sports book moved into their Chickies and Pete's South Philly location.
Now, they have one in their Malvern restaurant.
Right.
For people who don't know, Chickies and Pete's is a local sports bar in the New Jersey, Pennsylvania area. They actually have one in Atlantic City as well.
Well, this
in Tropicana, I think.
This has been going through the court systems for quite a while. July 1st, they received a favorable ruling that parks could move their sports book operations from the Turf Club location into the Chickies and Pete's. Right now, the Packer Park Civic Association has filed an appeal, so it's now going back to the zoning board for another resolution. So that has not been resolved, even though it looked like it was resolved. Over in California, the California Democratic Party officially came out against Proposition 27, which was the mobile sports betting ballot initiative backed by all the major sports betting brands, BetMGM, FanDuel, DraftKings. Fanatics is in there as well. Boy, excuse me there. We'll see exactly what happens there. Their opposition came after the California Teachers Association stated their opposition to it as well.
The teachers are in on it, huh?
Yes, the teachers are in on it. So, and, the mobile sports betting proposition is actually getting some headway through with the Native American tribes. I think there's at least 3 right now that are starting to support it. Florida is not going to have sports betting soon. That's basically the update. The court laid out the timeline for briefs and the next steps in this case that is stopping the sports betting industry from launching, the mobile sports betting industry from launching there. Basically, a timeline. It's mid-August. You've got appellates opening briefs. Mid-October, the response is due.
Okay.
Mid-November, the reply brief from the appellants. An oral argument to be held TBA, depending upon what's going on with the paperwork, with the paper trail going through there. So I don't see them having any decision being made until probably maybe even early 2023.
Spring. Yeah. Next spring.
Something like that. And last but not least, we'll end up in Kentucky. They had a change in their horse racing industry, a slight change in the law, where previously, when you put like $1 down on a horse race, the return was rounded down to $1.40.
If you won, you got
$1.40.
They rounded it down.
Yeah, they rounded it down per to the dollar. Because when you did the math, it came out to 1.48, and there was like 10 more decimal points.
So I'm assuming there's the sound of jingling and jangling coins.
Yes.
At these horse tracks now.
More and more people will be winning their actual bet.
Good, more change in my pocket.
Yes, it's instead of getting $1.40, they're going to get $1.48 for every dollar they win. So. And $2 bet was rounded down to $2.80, so now it's going to be $2.96.
Okay,
so almost $3 on a $2 bet.
Okay,
so that was a slight change, but it's a lot of other states I've been seeing have this on the books, where the previous rule it rounds it down. So it'll be interesting to see how much of an impact this has on the industry, whether or not we start seeing other states do it too. But that's it for this week's Turnpike Sports Book Report. If you've been following along on TV, the ticker has plenty of other news stories that we didn't have a chance to hit. You're also going to see a print version come out right after this show is released. Go to turnpikesports.us, click on the blog button, and you will see the print version of the full book report on our blog. And please keep the press releases coming in, info@turnpikesportsradio.com, and we'll keep reporting on the news and updates that go on in the industry around each week.
And that'll do it for us this week. We'll see you next time on the Turnpike.